All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to That Local Life podcast. I'm your host, Sydney. This is Tyler.
Hello, everybody. We have a very special guest, Jean.
Hello.
Do you go by Schiemer still?
Jean Schiemer.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Jean Schiemer. She is a longtime resident here in Adrian. She has done many, many things throughout her life, and we would like to dive in and
Get
to
started.
know a little bit better. Yeah. Jean,
Thank you.
thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. Jean is actually going to be our photographer at our wedding.
Yes.
For those that don't know, we are getting married. So that's kind of how Jean got wrapped up in this little whole podcast scheme here, if you will.
We sucked her in.
We did.
The vortex is pulling me.
It
Right.
is.
Yes.
It is pulling.
We're stoked to have you, though.
Thank
We
you.
are.
I'm so
Yes,
excited to be
yes. Jean, did you always live around here? Did you grow up here?
here. Yeah, I was born and raised on a farm a couple miles out of Adrian.
Okay.
My grandfather actually was born and raised in Austria, and he
Oh.
fought in World War I. And after the war, he decided to make a new life for himself. Things were pretty difficult there.
Sure.
And so he got sponsored to come over here by his uncle.
Uh-huh.
And he met my grandmother in New York. They met in a boarding house for immigrants. She was from Hamburg, Germany, came to the United States for similar
Whoa.
reasons.
Yeah.
They both spoke German, and I guess that was enough.
That's awesome.
So they got married, and then they had the opportunity to come out here and homestead. When the Owyhee Dam was put in
Wow.
the 30s, they were offering parcels of land to people who wanted to come and
Live here.
give it a
Yeah,
shot and see
yeah.
if they could make it work. And so he was able to get in on that. They came out here, and the farm that I grew up on is near Mendiola Road,
Okay.
right below Brown Butte.
Wow.
And he saved up enough money to buy a tractor and some equipment, and he pulled the sagebrush off of that farm, and then he laid
Went
the
to work.
ditches. He laid the ditches, and
Wow.
those old concrete ditches
Yeah.
mixed with gravel are still up there to this day.
That is
Whoa.
cool.
And that's the
That's
start
crazy.
that my family had from that side here.
Wow.
On my mom's side, her family grew up in northern Idaho, and I got to experience some really fun trips up there as well as a
Yeah,
child.
it's super pretty up there, too.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
We love it. What part of northern Idaho?
Near Lewiston, Cottonwood,
okay.
that kind of
Yeah,
area.
I like it out
yeah, and
there.
she grew up
Nice.
on a farm out there too, so the agricultural roots for me run pretty deep.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So growing up, were you always helping out with the farm stuff, or
it
was that
was-
kind of done as you were coming up?
Well, my father also farmed, and now my brother is third generation on the
Oh,
farm.
neat.
He was definitely part of the farm help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling weeds. That was not my favorite chore, but
Sure.
no, I had a really cool childhood. It was very peaceful, and I grew up out there on the farm. My parents homeschooled us,
Oh, okay.
and so I had a really quiet, unique childhood that
Sure.
I cherish
Yeah.
a lot of the memories from that.
Yeah.
I was able to be creative. I loved to draw and paint, and I loved raising animals. I was especially fond of birds, and
awesome.
raised ducks, chickens,
Uh-huh.
turkeys, geese. Adopted some pheasants that lost their mother. It was always a fun thing, and we had a really fun time running around barefoot on the farm all summer
Yeah.
long,
Yeah.
and it was a
Living
really
your best life.
yes.
Yeah.
That
It
is
was,
so cool.
it was peaceful and beautiful and
Lots to do.
Lots to
Endless
do.
amounts.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were K through 12, you were homeschool.
Well, I actually went to Adrian for the first through the third grade.
Okay. So
And then my
from
parents
on,
made the decision to
you were like, nope,
teach us
no
at
more
home.
school for
Did
me.
you
I
like
want to be
being
home.
homeschooled?
I did like it. I'm a little bit unconventional, so some of the stuff, super
Sure.
structured stuff
Yeah.
in school, I liked a little bit more of that flexibility.
Yeah.
Of
course.
We got to learn, but we also got to explore a lot. So
Yeah.
that
Homeschool
helped.
definitely gives parents that opportunity to kind of spice up the whole school thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I mean, and you're allowed to explore your creativity without, my problem with today's school structure is it's too structured,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It almost zaps the fun out of being yourself and being unique. So that's awesome that you had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that influence, another thing about being homeschooled, we weren't around a lot of people when I was growing up. And as I got older, I found that gave me a natural curiosity and love for people and an interest in people. I think the fact that I wasn't around them all the time and overwhelmed with a lot of negative things, negative influences in my life, I think I was able to see people in a different light and found them interesting, and I wanted to know more.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. Yeah, in school, I definitely learned different, a little slower, super hands-on. So I like the idea of homeschooling because you can kind of teach based on what each kid needs. Rather than in school, it's just, this is how we're going to teach you. You either get it or you don't. If you don't, better luck next time.
Right, and there's a lot of kids that fall through the cracks with that. I think it can happen with homeschooling too. It depends on how it's done, but for me, I definitely think it shaped a lot of the things that made me who I am today.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So after kind of high school or graduation, if you will, what did you go? Where did you do?
So I got married really young. I met my ex-husband, who is still a good friend of mine.
Well, that's good.
But we grew in different directions eventually.
Yeah.
But we were very young. We got married, and I had my babies pretty young too. I was 24 by the time I had all four of my
that is
kiddos.
young.
Wow. Yeah.
That's wild.
And it was a wild ride.
Yeah.
Those years were years that I cherish, but they were also a bit of a blur.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine so. That's a lot happening very quickly.
It was a lot.
Man.
So what age were you when you did get married?
I was 18.
Wow. That's young.
Yes.
For sure.
I was a baby.
I can't imagine.
Were any of your kids homeschooled? I know most of them.
Yes, I did homeschool my kids through, let's see, my oldest daughter, Lorraine, through the start before she started her freshman year. But at a certain point, I was able to teach them certain things, but at a certain point, I felt like it was time for them to go into a public education system for not only the social aspect, but also there were things that I couldn't really teach them properly, and I wanted them to have the knowledge so that if they wanted to do something different, that they had those options to explore and branch out. And
that's awesome.
I think it was a good decision because they're all, they got to have a variety of experiences there. They had the homeschooling experience, but they also got the flip side of the coin, and my kids have shared with me that they really enjoyed their experience going to school and having, being able to experience the things that they
wouldn't
learned
have
there.
if they, exactly.
And they've all gone and done different things with their
All
lives,
of them.
so it's super
Yes.
cool. Super really neat, actually. But after your kids you had all your kids, like what, you've done a lot of odd jobs throughout your life.
Yes.
Like what was the first real kind of odd job that you did?
So while I was homeschooling the kids, I didn't really work. That was pretty much a full-time job.
Sure, yeah.
But once they transitioned into school, I realized, I would like to be able to figure a way to make a living, to help support all of that. And so I think I limited myself a little bit, thinking that I wasn't going to be able to do anything with myself because I didn't have a college education. I think I sort of had that in my head. And so I started thinking about what I could do that worked around that. And the first thing that I started doing was I took a waitressing job.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
I got to be around people. My coworkers were fun. It was a happy atmosphere, and I felt like it was a natural fit for me. I love to be of service to other people, and to do that and then get paid for it, that was pretty cool.
You're like, this is best of both worlds.
I like this. This
That's
is really
awesome.
cool. So that was my first kind of really structured job. And then I also started cleaning houses.
Okay.
And I did that for a while.
Okay.
And that helped me afford some camera equipment and some of that stuff. So
How
did you?
No, go ahead.
Did you have interest in photography before you really got into it, I guess?
not really. It's kind of funny. I was always an artist. I've always loved to draw and paint and write. But the photography aspect came into play a little bit later. I had drawn a bighorn sheep tag in 2008, and my ex-husband and I went out and were scouting for all these sheep, and he said, if we need to get a nice camera so we can take pictures. This is a once-in-a-lifetime hunt. And so he bought this camera that it was a nice camera, and we used it for taking pictures of the sheep hunt. And afterward, and I did get a ram. It was pretty.
There's
that
a
was
picture of you around here somewhere with that, I believe.
It was
I'll
a
find
really
that.
an amazing trip, and it was something that I'll always remember fondly. Getting to see the Hawaiis like that, and getting to see an animal like that out in its natural element was really an
that's cool.
incredible experience.
That's awesome.
But after all of that, the camera was sitting there, and I thought, I want to play with this thing. This is fun. I'll take some pictures of the kids. And one day my sister came over and she brought her little girls, and there was this big, beautiful storm that was brewing in the background. And I took a picture of her little daughter, and she had this platinum shiny blonde hair, and this beautiful storm in the back, and I took it, and my sister loved it, and I was excited about the image too. I'm like, wow, this is really cool, and it kind of sparked my interest in maybe I can do more. And then someone from church was getting married and asked me, she saw the picture, she knew I had a camera. She said, will you take pictures at our wedding? And I said, I don't know what I'm doing.
You're like, oh, do you want me to?
If you want free pictures and I can't guarantee how they'll turn out, then I will do that for you.
Yeah.
And she said yes. So I did, and the pictures were pretty, and I found that I enjoyed not knowing exactly what's going to happen, the unpredictability of the wedding day, rolling with
The flow of things.
And I loved all the details and the love that I could see between people. And I had so much fun shooting that wedding. And so shortly after I proofed out the photos for her, she started sharing the pictures, and I started getting phone calls. Hey, do you take pictures? And I'm like, well, not professionally. I'm just doing this.
I feel like
for
I've
fun.
kind of like dabbled in it.
Yeah, kind of dabbled a little bit, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And people said, well, I want you to take my son's senior pictures or my daughter's, and I'd charge them $50 or do a freebie.
Sure.
And I thought maybe I should build up a portfolio and see what I can get going.
Yeah.
So I did. And the more I shot, I felt like the more I was clicking in with it, pun intended, I suppose. And so then eventually I had someone ask me to shoot another wedding that was going to be in a church. And I realized the equipment that I had was not suitable for a church wedding with different challenging lighting. So I decided that I was going to buy a professional camera, professional lens, and do it right. And so I started obsessively researching YouTube, different forums, how things worked, different ideas and techniques.
Lights,
And for editing techniques and Photoshop, all of that stuff. And I started kind of really getting dialed in and obsessed with it. Like, this is something I want to learn. And by the time the wedding rolled around, I felt like I had a pretty firm grasp on what to do.
Good idea.
It wasn't perfect, but I was learning, and that was a really great learning experience for me.
Sure.
And that sort of set the stage. Then the path just started to flow with more opportunities.
Yeah.
What brand did you end up going with?
Nikon.
Nikon?
Yes.
Nice. I'm a Nikon guy
I was
myself.
like, is that what you have?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a Z. That's what's filming us right, is a Z7. so-
Great minds think alike, apparently.
Yes.
Canon's great too. I honestly feel like you can do a lot with any modern system. There's such
dude, they're
great
so nuts.
technology.
I
But
know.
Nikon was what I learned and settled in with, and it's probably what I'll stay with.
Yeah.
Unless there's a really great reason to
Yeah.
change.
I'm probably going to switch to Sony cameras for recording because they are phenomenal when
I've
it comes
heard
to
really-
recording video.
Really good things about that.
Nikon, I love for pictures. Nikon is next level. Like you can't beat the Z7's photos when
That's-
it comes to that stuff. Like it's crazy how detailed it is.
Yeah.
But video wise, I like it. I think it's great. It does its thing, but could be better, obviously.
Well, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
There is. Just as
Especially
a matter
with
of how much you want to spend, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
those things are not cheap.
No, definitely not.
Goodness.
Oh
What
my
type of
gosh.
Nikon do you use?
I use D750,
okay.
and I'm going to be upgrading soon. I have several cameras, but that's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah.
But soon I'll be upgrading to
Okay.
something a little better. I
That's
haven't
neat.
decided exactly specifically which one I want to go with, but
Uh-huh.
probably in the next 6 months I'm going to
That's awesome.
Start
Gonna
looking at-
jump to one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
I love
cool.
mine. My Z7's awesome. I actually had a D750 as well before I got this one, but I broke my 750, which is why I got this one.
Well,
So,
you upgraded.
I
so
did.
That's good.
It was a big upgrade.
And I
Wow.
love how the further along we get with technology, the lighter the cameras are getting, the smaller, the more responsive they're.
Yeah,
the-
I mean that camera's tiny compared
It's
to
tiny.
the cameras that they used to have.
Yes.
I mean, the lens is bigger than the camera usually. Which
Yep.
is crazy.
It's pretty awesome. The way that they have kind of constantly kept things going. The trap is you want the newest and latest every
Yeah.
time. But
Every time they come out with one.
I found that my trick is to buy the model just past the newest one, and
Yep.
it seems to be a little bit more affordable.
It's a little more affordable at that
Mhm.
time, right? And you can always get away with not just using Nikon lens. You can go with a Sigma or a different type
Aftermarket.
brand that's way cheaper, does the exact same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. And it's all in the lens, really, when it comes to photography.
It is,
It's
and I
sup-
have one in particular that
Yeah?
is my absolute favorite.
What's your go-to?
The 70 to 200.
Ooh.
I love that. It's
Yes.
got the most beautiful creamy background
Mm-hmm.
blur, and it's very razor sharp. It's really responsive. The focus is
Awesome.
great, and that it is a tank. But the other thing is you have nice biceps after using it. It gives you a workout.
lugging that thing around all day. What? My mic down?
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh.
loud.
Okay. Can do. Keep going.
Sorry, it's been bugging me.
Maybe just headphones need to be down.
No, I can hear you chewing on your thing.
A
and
little
it's-
ASMR.
Yeah, I like can hear him every time, and then I can hear him breathing, and I'm like, okay, I think it's a little loud.
You're a goofball. Okay. 70 to 200, that's a solid lens.
It is.
So you like to kind of shoot a little bit from a distance almost.
Yes, and
Okay.
one of the reasons specifically that I like that, in addition to a fixed lens or one that's a little forces you to be a little closer, is I find that if I'm too close to my subject sometimes, particularly when it comes to events,
Mm-hmm.
that they're a little nervous or intimidated by the
Oh,
camera.
yeah.
Definitely.
And I've found that if I can stand back a little bit and just allow everything to unfold naturally, that I end up with real moments instead of somebody like stiffening
Posing
up
for
and
the
looking at
yeah.
the camera and fake smile. I want to see that real smile when they're having a conversation and see that sparkle in their eye.
Yeah.
I want to see the real essence of that person with my lens, and I feel like I am more effective at that when I stay back.
So you can almost hide in the shadows,
That's
if you
fair.
will.
I'm kind
People
of a
tend to get
creeper.
a little camera shy.
Yeah.
Just I'm like that creeper.
A little creeper in the corner over there.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
the I
Jean.
Spy at the wedding. Like, where's Jean? Oh, found her.
Oh, she's in the bushes.
That's so funny. That's really neat. I mean, and you get a much different perspective when you step away from a scene versus being in the middle of it. So
That's what it feels like as well. I really do think that my most favorite images that I've captured have been from further away, and I love that I can zoom in really close and it looks like I'm right there, but
Yeah.
I'm not affecting that person's energy or what they're doing.
you're not in their immediate bubble,
Right.
if you will.
And there's nothing more intimidating than having a big camera stuck in your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Especially if
agree.
you're not comfortable in front of a camera.
right.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of times certain wedding guests, like let's say grandparents or someone who's more reserved or shy,
Don't wanna be
They
captured.
don't want to
Yeah.
be captured. But when I'm standing back, it's less intrusive, and I can get those real moments a lot more effectively.
That's awesome.
That's neat. I do like that. And how did you kind of come up with that style? Did you kind of always start there, or did you create that from just noticing things throughout your other shoots?
I think it was always my approach.
just started
I
right
think
there.
it always felt more natural to, especially with my events, weddings, documentary type photographs.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that was more my style.
Okay.
I had an opportunity last spring to shoot something that was really unique, and it made a pretty big impression on me. And that approach definitely helped me capture what I wanted to get. I had a man reach out to me. His mother had passed away. She was from Vietnam. And he invited me to shoot the funeral.
Interesting.
I had never done that before.
Yeah, interesting.
And it was definitely on the opposite spectrum of what I normally shoot, which is happy, joyous events.
Sure.
And I felt incredibly honored that he asked me to be a part of something so intimate for his family.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to approach it with respect. I went in not really knowing what to expect. I was thinking, okay, do they just want pictures of groupings of the family together afterward?
Or the whole service.
Or the whole service.
People crying? Do they want?
What do you? How do I do this?
Photos of at a funeral. That's crazy.
So I showed up at the funeral home, and I met him. He gave me a very warm handshake, and I said, "Do you just want photos of the family afterward?" He said, "No, I want you to take pictures of what's happening." I said, "Okay."
Wow.
So I was able to observe a funeral from another culture, and it was fascinating to me how they expressed love and respect and grief. And I could see that this woman was a treasure to the family.
Yeah.
The children, the grandchildren, all these generations were there paying respect to her. They were all crying. There were some different ceremonial aspects that were really beautiful. And honestly, it was such an honor, and it really stands out in my mind as one of the things that was a really special thing to be invited to capture.
That's amazing.
And I think me being able to stand back and not be so up close and in the face of these people who were grieving, but to be able to stay back further, give them an appropriate amount of space, and allow them to not feel intimidated by the camera. I think that approach really worked.
Was beneficial.
It really worked for that situation, and it also gave me a chance to really observe something that was not only sad, but also a natural rite of passage and a natural part of life, to watch it being handled in such a beautiful, respectful way. So
And that's interesting, because your photo style is more of a documentary style type. Like, you like to tell the story as it is. So
I do.
That's probably pretty unique for you, and kind of fits right in your wheelhouse almost, if you will, being able to tell that story. So that's really cool, actually.
I feel really, really honored. Every event that I shoot, to me, is like, it's a gift, it's a blessing, because I get invited into people's lives on very special days, and I get to celebrate that event in a way that is unique to each person.
Yeah.
And
you're good to create memories that they can look back on.
That's
for
one of the
years
things
and
that
years.
brings me joy the most. I've had people share pictures that I hadn't thought about for years, that I took a long time ago, and maybe of a loved one who had passed, or maybe a memory of a child who had graduated, or something special, and I had completely forgotten about it, but it was special to that person.
Yeah.
I love being able to take part in helping preserve these beautiful memories for people and their families. It's really a passion of mine.
That's
You
amazing.
can clearly hear it in your voice and how
Thank
you
you.
talk about it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really powerful when you can find somebody who is in
Passionate
tune
about
and
what they do,
passionate.
yeah.
You can really hear it.
Thank you.
Rather than just them saying it or them being about it, you can really hear it inside your voice. So that's really cool.
And having that passion makes your pictures so much like more unique and special.
And you care, right?
Yeah.
I care. I really feel like my purpose here is to spread seeds of love and encourage love and celebrate it.
Yeah.
And anything that I can do that makes that possible is a really
Well, I think you're
it's a
doing a
gift.
fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you take pictures at our wedding.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah,
We're going to have so much fun.
We were looking at your pictures
It's
and
gonna be
I was
fun.
like, these are amazing.
They are. They are phenomenal pictures.
Yeah.
Thank
Tyler
you.
loves your little photo book too.
Dude, I was
Aw.
sold.
He was so into it. He's like, we're getting one of those. I'm like, okay.
I can't wait to create
Yeah.
one.
See, for me, the wedding really didn't hit like that I'm getting married or anything like that until I saw that book.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the first
that
time
was-
I'd heard him like obviously he's excited, but it just
Yes.
men are different when it comes to weddings.
They
and
are.
He came home and was all excited, and he was like, I pictured us in that book and things like
love
that.
that.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
so excited, and I was like, oh, so you like you're excited to get married? He's like, of course. I was like, okay, this is just the most excitement I've seen.
That
Well, yeah,
makes
I
me
mean-
so
Yeah,
happy.
Yeah,
yeah.
it just the book was really cool because he was able to flip through, and it wasn't just the photos of them getting married. It was the photos of them walking like out in nature. It was because this particular one was in Joseph, I
Yes,
believe it was,
that's
right?
right.
Yeah, so it was just photos of the nature scene around. It was photos of them just doing things in nature. It was them getting ready. It was them like being raw and being real. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I was like, I can see this. This is cool. So
Yeah, he loved
just
it.
to have that visual was just
Thank you. And I'm
Amazing.
really excited to capture you in an authentic way that shows
Mm.
the love that you have. It's-
Yeah, we're super excited.
yeah. And you don't
Beautiful.
really do cookie cutter style weddings, right? You're not doing
No.
big production type stuff. You're
No.
doing like down home, one-on-one.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of bigger events. I'd shoot
Sure.
big fancy church weddings, big
Mhm.
corporate events, all these different kinds of more mainstream style weddings.
Mhm.
And I started realizing at a certain point that I wasn't feeling the joy in those larger events. There was just too much chaos, and people were stressed, and
Especially the bride and groom.
the bride
they
and
just
groom
can't
were
enjoy
stressed,
themselves.
the
yeah.
family's stressed. There's 300 guests, and how do you keep track of everybody? And I noticed that the energy there wasn't quite what I wanted, and so I started. What I realized was I really enjoyed shooting backyard weddings, or smaller, more intimate events, elopements, one-on-one with just a couple and an officiant. Those types of things, more creative, offbeat type weddings were what really made my heart sing. I really enjoyed that. And so when I redesigned my website a couple of years ago, I thought, I'm going to show off the types of weddings that I really felt connected to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I laid it out like that. And oddly enough, I started attracting clients that were having those kinds of weddings. And so it's been a really wonderful
Law of
journey.
attraction.
Yeah. I was super impressed with your website.
Thank
It's
you.
just very nicely laid out. The pictures you chose to display are awesome.
Thank
And
you. That
yeah.
was a labor of love in and of
Yes.
itself.
Yeah. Websites are hard to make, and it's
They
hard
are.
to figure things out. And I think yours is, it's portraying what you want to portray.
Thank you. It was funny because when I was building it, it took me probably 6 months to get it put together.
Yeah.
I'm sort of attached to a lot of the photos.
Yeah.
I look
Sure.
at them and I'm like, how do I choose this one or that one? Or,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. How do I pick? And so I laid out the website itself first, the structure, the pages, and I started with a few photos and the information and all the important stuff. And then selecting the photos was something I did over the course of a couple of months, slowly building each page carefully with the photos that felt right.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit challenging because sometimes I get frustrated with the process. But when I finished, I was really,
Yeah.
I felt like it was a good reflection of what I do.
Yeah, I thought it looked amazing. I know you sent me the links, and I was like, wow, this is good. You're not left wondering. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? Some places you're just kind of like, well, I only got a glimpse, but you definitely see the whole picture of what you want to portray.
Thank you.
And for our listeners and viewers, where can they find you at?
You can find me at www.doubletakeportraits.com, or you
Double
can
Take
just type in
Portraits.
Double Take Photography Boise and I'll pop up.
And we'll
Okay.
link that with
Yeah, well, obviously
when
we'll
the
put all of
episode's
that stuff
posted.
right
We'll
in.
link it with it.
Thank
yeah,
you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
One of the things I wanted to tell you that I love about what I do is when you look at my images, that's not about me. It's about I push a button. My subjects or the people that I'm photographing, they give me that image. That's something that it's a gift that they give to me.
Yeah.
The equipment is all part of that equation, but it's up to me to find that right moment, that right emotion within them. It's literally something that they are giving to me, and I'm showing
they're
it.
trusting you.
They're trusting
Yeah.
me. They're giving me that, and then I'm showing them what they what they are.
Yeah.
And that's
cool.
It's a really wonderful thing because it's a collaborative process.
Yeah. It's not necessarily all the weight's on you at that point.
No.
It's just you're sharing the responsibility with the people who want the photos taken of them.
Yes.
So that's cool. Was that your first name that you came up with, was Double Take Photography when you started it? Or did you
Yeah.
have other names?
No,
That was it?
I don't know why. I think that was the name that just stuck. I thought it
Yeah.
was kind of fun. Excuse me,
Oh, go ahead.
allergies.
You're fine.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun and catchy, and I just never changed it.
Yeah, I
love
like
it.
it.
No, I love it. It's great.
you.
It fully represents it because you do double take on your pictures.
You're making me blush
There you
just a
go.
little bit.
I'm serious. I was showing my parents, and we're like, "These are amazing." Like,
you.
I
Yeah,
was
the
very
photos are
impressed. I
phenomenal.
knew you were good at taking pictures, but like, you're really good at taking pictures.
Well, I have really good subjects. Let's
yeah,
put it that
we
way.
are like so excited that you're gonna take our pictures.
I am very excited
Yeah.
too.
So what's the future look like for Double Take Photography? What's
Um,
your next thing? Or how are
Eventually,
you?
So I love doing where I'm at. I'm really enjoying
Mhm.
this phase, but there's
Okay.
always room for other ventures.
Sure.
And I feel like the thing that I'd really like to dabble with next is maybe starting a different kind of a blog. And I would love to do something like what you're doing here, where you're interviewing different people.
Yeah.
I would like to meet different people locally that are interesting, maybe people I know, maybe people I don't know, and take some real candid raw photos of them in their natural environment and hear their story.
That'd be really cool, and then you could write a story on them.
Yes.
Because you said you like to write.
I do.
And have a blog where you take these amazing candid photos of them, and then you can, this is what they do. This is where they've been. Like, I
Right.
totally would like
That's-
stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the next thing that I would love to explore. I've always been so focused on getting, these photos done, these photos edited out
Yeah.
the wheel of that. But I would like to pursue something more for fun.
Sure.
But that also could be really interesting to others. And
Yeah.
I love hearing other people's stories. I've learned a lot from other people sharing things, life experiences
Yeah.
with me. And I think that a lot of that life experience can be valuable when shared with others. So I think that'll be my next project. It's something I want to start probably in the spring.
That's awesome.
And-
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely been, like, having this, I feel like I'm so much more involved in the community and know so many more people, like, on a much deeper level. Just
That's-
because,
Really.
I love that you guys
Yeah.
are doing that because this is a small community and we need to be connected.
yeah.
I agree.
And there's so
100%.
many interesting people in this community. They all
are.
do their own thing to be involved and to build and all that stuff.
And there are so many fascinating stories that you would never know if you didn't have that conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, almost like the people of Nissa, if you will, or something
Yes.
like that. And I've sat down and talked about it over a glass of wine
Yes.
one night, and it was awesome to hear you talk about it. And by all means, I'd absolutely love to help you make that happen, whether it's you using this studio to get that interview from them or any help at all. Like, please let me know.
I sense a collaboration impending.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
That Local Life and Jean, Double Take Photography. I
Yeah.
can see it.
I like that.
I can see it. Yeah, no, I think that'd be really cool, and I think that's something that's needed.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Like,
agree.
I mean, even just outside of Nissa, and you got
It is.
Ontario, you got Vale, you got I got Fur apparently.
Brought our dogs
You got-
to the podcast.
Yeah, you got Homedale, you got all sorts of little towns, John Day, John Tura, just little towns that people just don't know about or don't know the people inside those towns. And there's a lot of interesting people that live around here, right?
There
So-
really are. And one of the things so I'm also a bartender at Bob's
Yeah.
in Nissa, and I get a chance to visit with a lot of interesting people when they come in.
Yeah.
And I think that was another thing that really made me want to go down this venue was
Sure.
I, as a bartender, get to hear a lot of fascinating life stories from
Yeah.
people.
Sure you do.
And it made me, there's some stories that I think, man, I shouldn't be the only one knowing about this. This
Yeah.
is really cool. This person's lived a very interesting life. So I think that also made me feel inspired after having so many fascinating conversations
Yeah.
over the years with my regulars and new people that I meet and all of that. I thought that there would be an interest in, if I find that conversation interesting, maybe someone else would too.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. And it's not a conversation you have every day. So, I
No.
mean, there's people that come into the store. I've seen them, I've known them, but then we have them on the podcast, and I'm like, there's a lot more to you than
Yes.
the ICs, you know?
They become a completely different person.
Oh, yeah.
When you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Almost just rather than just a face, you're like, oh, wow, I know your life,
Yes.
basically. So I just, you connect on a deeper level.
You do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so if you can share that story on a deeper level with other people, then it's almost like they get to know them too without having to actually meet them, if
Yes,
you will.
yes. And also, I love it if, you know, with certain types of conversations, I love finding little nuggets of wisdom,
Yeah.
inspiration, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be a good opportunity if I were able to start doing something like this, that maybe there could be some great information
Oh,
that
yeah.
would come
Yeah.
along with that little,
Absolutely.
that interesting image and that
I think it's a
story.
great idea.
Just the connections alone that come from it. Like,
Yes.
they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that could lead to something bigger, right? You
And I love
or
that.
a different avenue, which
Yes.
is cool.
And connection starts with one little trail that branches out, and
It's
then
so true.
another, and the more, you know,
like a
those
tree branch.
seeds just
Keep growing.
They
Yeah.
grow, and that's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah,
the
we've-
community connect.
Oh, yeah, we've definitely, like I said, figured that out with the podcast. We've made a lot more connections than we ever had, more friends than we've ever had, you know?
Isn't that what's beautiful about
I love
life?
We
it.
love it.
Yeah. I love it so
We
much.
absolutely love it.
Growing, connecting, evolving.
Yeah. I agree. Watching out for each other.
Yes.
I definitely agree. So that is really neat, and I would really like to see that come about. So please work on that.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
I fully support it.
Thank you.
Yes. Like, and if you need any help with that, like, let us know.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep you two informed.
Yeah,
on my
definitely
progress on
do.
that.
We would love to
Please.
help in any way
Yeah.
we can.
I already
Yeah.
have a couple of people in mind that I'd love to chat with.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'd be open to it. But it's something that when the weather gets just a little bit warmer and I have a little more time
People
to
are
work on it.
out and about.
Mhm. And the more people you interview and things like that, the more the word gets out, the more people start to get comfortable with it. Like, oh, they did that. Okay, I'll do it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes it give a little
Yeah.
courage and
It's
confidence.
It's getting those
Yeah.
first few. I mean, and that's what we noticed with doing the podcast was people were pretty nervous to come on at first, right?
And
then-
it's not because of this; it's because of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
more
the
of
camera.
I'm not going to lie, that
Fully.
is totally freaking me out.
Yeah, it's the camera, and
Yeah.
so people being shy of the camera, like that's where you're gonna have those issues. You know
That's
what I mean?
why I have
it's
that
just,
long lens.
Yeah, it's just getting over it.
If that camera was over there in the corner, I wouldn't be thinking about it.
Right? I
Instead
know.
of pointing
I
directly
know.
at you.
Yeah, it's like,
we're
oh,
actually
Sometimes I
working
feel that
on
way
a double
too.
angle thing, or we're gonna maybe might do a different table setup here. It's where we can actually have some better different angles with the cameras and stuff. But
Yeah.
live
For
and
now,
learn. Yeah,
It's very
great.
intimidating with it being right there.
Yeah.
For sure, I get it.
I will say that's the one thing that's making me just a little bit nervous. But if I didn't think about it, I'm
Don't
here in
look
the
at
room
it.
with
Yeah.
you two
Not
getting a chance to
Right?
have a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
conversation.
Just a
It's not
conversation.
this. It's that.
Just a conversation. That's what we tell everybody that comes on. So
Yes.
it's been fun. We love this journey that we're on.
Yeah.
I
I
think it's
love
cool.
the journey that you two are on as well. I love
Thanks.
seeing your passion for the community, your interest in helping this area develop and grow
Yeah.
into something that's going to be a thriving community for
Yeah.
all of us.
It
that
has
are
so
here.
much potential. It just
It
needs the
does.
little.
We have so many things out
push.
here that can be utilized, and not
Yeah.
necessarily to make this place the next Boise, which I don't want
No,
to do. It's just
no.
It would help the people in the
just
community already.
help
though.
the people that live here. Maybe a few more people move in. We just have a small, thriving community that you can start a new business in. You
Yes.
can
Yeah.
do some other things and then you will survive and grow and prosper,
Mm-hmm.
rather than starting something and just falling apart because you don't have support behind you. You don't
Yeah.
have
Exactly.
the people here, and then you end up with a ghost town. So
And that's what the ghost town thing. That's without new ideas, new blood, and
yeah.
That's how towns die.
That
And it's-
drive.
It's a
that-
very real possibility,
they dry
right?
up. It is, and it's something that I worry about for this community. But I also see people like you and others that are passionate about keeping it alive.
Yeah,
And that's very important.
we've definitely seen that there are a lot of people that do want that change and that do think the same way we do. A lot of people just don't have the confidence or the courage to speak up about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think this podcast has kind of opened up a door for something like that for a lot of people, which is what we need.
It is what we need, and by you two taking the courage to speak out and others taking the courage to take action, then that gives inspiration to others to step forward and say, hey, I
Yeah.
want to be a part of this. This is something that I can see being a good thing.
Yeah.
How can I help? And that's how it starts.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. And then
But you have to take the leap, and that's the scary thing.
it is.
Oh, I fully get
so
it. He's
scary.
the lead taker. I'm like the person that's like, we shouldn't do that.
But
we
look at
shouldn't
you!
take it.
Look at you two.
She picks up the pieces that I leave behind.
Well,
I do. I'm usually like 10 feet back, but I'll get there eventually.
Pick up my breadcrumbs.
that sounds like a really
It's a great dynamic.
good dynamic for
Yeah.
both of you, because
I make the messes, she cleans them up.
but you're both having a good time, right?
Yeah, we're having
Yeah.
a great time. Yeah, we love it.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Life
good.
is an adventure, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. You never know what's going to happen
It's
next.
so true. And you don't
Yeah.
want to get to your older ages and be like, wow, I should have done this, this, and this.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah, you might
Yes.
as well just do it. And then if it doesn't end up working, well,
Try
at least
again.
you know now. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you get stagnant or something stops you, there's always another channel that you can pass through.
Yeah.
And the problem is, a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this myself, I feel stuck. I don't move.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That
when
happens.
I stop being effective.
It's a lot easier to sit and be afraid than it is to take the leap and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't
And I
always
am guilty
realize
of
that.
that.
You don't
It-
always realize that, though, when you're sitting there.
No, you don't, because you take comfort in just the isolation of, oh, I'm not having to face this.
Yeah.
And facing it is like ripping off a Band-Aid. It's scary, and
Yeah. But once you come out on the other side, you're
yeah,
a
it helps
much
you
better
heal.
person. Yeah.
And it helps you grow.
Oh, yeah.
It
And
does.
that's important.
It does.
So
And-
the scary stuff, sometimes you just have to go through. You just have to dive in and go through,
yes,
and
very
come out
good
on the other
advice.
side. And
It's very true.
it's an adventure either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why not try something and rather than just sit around?
Being stuck is no fun.
It's not.
And that's
It's
not
at
our
all.
purpose here on this planet. We're not meant to stay stuck. We happiness and joy and comfort and all of those wonderful things are.
Yeah.
We
I
need
agree.
that in our life.
Oh, yeah,
And if you're
fully.
stuck, you can't enjoy it.
And if you stop
Mhm.
moving, you're going to stop receiving that.
Well,
Yes.
the earth is always rotating, so why not?
Follow
why
it.
shouldn't
as
we
well?
be?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it just makes a lot of sense to me, anyway.
I think so too.
I think
advice.
so, but I'm definitely still learning to actually my brain knows it, but my feet kind of stagger.
You're doing great. I think
all
we're
right.
all doing the best. As long as you do the best you can, you're going to find your
Yeah.
path.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll
That's-
stumble across
if
it
you-
one way, shape,
Intention is everything. If you have good intentions and you want good things to happen for yourself and other people, that counts for a lot.
or form. I agree 100%. I think it's very good advice.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all of that
Yes,
with us.
Absolutely.
thank you.
It's awesome. What other things are you working on that you want to share, or do you have anything else to share with us today?
Well, I've been working on some art projects.
Mhm.
That's been really fun. I love to paint, and that's another thing that I'd like to do a little bit more of.
Uh-huh.
I love giving paintings and drawings as gifts. It's always fun to
Ah.
see sparkle in
Yeah.
a friend's eye when
Yeah.
I give them something that I made.
Sure.
So that's been a lot of fun doing that. It's been very therapeutic for me.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like a form of meditation in a way when you get
Sure.
really dialed into something that you're creating, and it's enjoyable and it's fun,
Yeah.
and you're making something beautiful. I think that's a pretty.
Have you thought about advertising yourself like Etsy, things like that?
I've thought a little bit about it. I feel like I want to create a few more pieces as gifts
Yeah.
before, so that I can get a feel for what direction I want to go with it.
Sure.
That's fair.
But eventually I wouldn't mind doing that. My motivation for art is more self-expression,
Mhm.
but then again, if someone liked what I was doing and they thought that it was something that would be
Well, there's always someone out there
Wonderful
that
in their
likes what you're doing. It's just a matter of how many people, right?
right. So I guess I have a lot of side projects that I'm contemplating, but
That is okay.
Me too.
a little bit at a time. One,
Yeah.
you give attention to
Yes.
one thing at a time, a little
Exactly.
bit here, a little bit there, and it all adds up.
Yeah, you're gonna get busy here soon too with the summer season and your
Yes.
photography. So
Yes, and that's going to be a fun season for me. I
Mhm.
have
That's
a really
awesome.
nice wedding season shaped up. I'm very excited
Yes.
about
Yay.
the clients that I have.
That's
and
awesome.
Can't wait to create some beautiful
how
memories.
exciting!
Yes.
So exciting. Okay, I have one final question that I want
Absolutely.
to ask you before we kind of wrap things up here.
Okay.
What's the one impact that you want to have on the community?
Love. I want everyone to feel love. I want them to feel worthy and special and that they have potential to do great things.
That's amazing,
That's awesome.
and you can tell you want that from the pictures you take.
Thank
You can
Pictures
really
you take and the way you are and the way you
Yeah.
treat people, just your aura when you come in the
Mhm.
store, you're just a whirlwind of happiness. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, you are.
I am living in joy. I have a wonderful life, and I'm very grateful for everything and everyone in it.
That's awesome.
So amazing. Well, everybody, look for Jean at doubletakephotography.com. We will put links and all that stuff in our
Yes,
bios
check
for
her
you
out.
guys to
She's
check out.
amazing.
Thank
She
you.
is amazing.
As are
Very,
you.
very- Ah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on, Jean. This is
Yeah.
episode 21. As always, folks,
Keep it local.
keep it local.
Thank you.